You are listening to the Fresh Take Network.
Podcast. Joshua Adam William Marathon with Adam Diesel Power, and we are privileged and honored to have from Impact Wrestling, Raj Singh.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me.
It is.
Thanks for being here, Raj.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate you jumping into Fresh Take and the One Fall podcast. It's always good to have. You're our first wrestler, first of all, that we've ever interviewed.
Oh, sweet, man. Sweet.
And it's good to have a local talent on there as well. So whenever I have anyone on here, I ask the basic, simple question for their profession. What was the thing that drew you to love wrestling? What was that first thing?
It sounds like I'm studying for a bit here because I'm thinking about it, but really I grew up in it. It's been in my blood, right? So For those that don't know, my dad was in Stampede Wrestling in the WWF, and I was literally around it. I would just cry when he couldn't take me to the arena, or he didn't take me to the arena for whatever reason. I'd wake up every morning just wanting to watch WWF and then Stampede right away. And then, you know, everybody loves wrestling as a kid. And as I grew up into a man, I'm just a giant man child, and that still loves wrestling.
Yeah. What was it like, you know, growing up, you know, you kind of, you know, being a second generation superstar? Should have kind of talked about that off the beginning, but being a second generation talent, what was that like, and growing around someone in the business? And, you know, it's in your blood. Your cousin is former WWE champion, Jinder Mahal as well. So definitely a lot of talent in that family.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, like for me, it's all I know. So I don't really, you know, I've had this question a few times, and I always have to ask the question back, like, what's it like being in a household where there wasn't a wrestler? Because for me, that's the norm. So like, again, every time I'm watching wrestling, I can't just watch wrestling to watch it and then just enjoy it like a fan. I break it down. I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. I just think of how much it hurts, because I know certain things, how much they hurt. And then when I'm watching it with my dad or my cousin, we watch and we like pick it apart. So it's, you know, it was always just try to elevate our game and try to make it better. If that makes sense, I wasn't really watching to like be entertained, but I do try, especially when I'm at a local show. I'll try to really just watch the show and watch the younger guys that we train with or that we train. And then I'll be like, okay, cool. That was cool. I don't want to put my hands on that one at all.
It's your craft, right? Like it's your job too. So you're like, you're at work, you're like learning, you're studying, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. It's like watching, it's a job that I love. So it doesn't feel like a job. And that's the thing I like about it too. And then I want to be out there and always do something good and have where people are like, yo, I want to see that guy again because he was so good. And even if it's not a match that I'm involved in, it could be two brand new rookies, their first match ever, or it could be two veterans. And if they ask me their 2 cents or ask me for my 2 cents on it, for sure, I'll clear it up and try to have that, because I want every match to be good, not just mine, not just the main event, not just this person. I want every match to be good. So like if a fan shows up, they turn around and say, yo, that was entertaining. That was a great night out. Like, you know, me and my boys, me and my girls, or me and my date had a great time. Like I just love wrestling that much. I just want it to be perfect.
I'm sure we'll get to this dungeon show at some point here, but I had like a cousin coming into town that weekend, and they just announced the show, and he's like not into wrestling at all.
Okay.
And so I messaged him and I was like, you have any interest in going to this? Like, I want to go. You're going to be here. He was like, sure. And he had a blast.
Oh,
like
sweet.
He was like, knew nothing about wrestling. He like, I'd watch it a little when he was a kid, right? Like, you know, like you said, everyone was a wrestling fan. But he came in and was just like, he was blown away by it. And like, that's, I think what you're talking about is like those people that have no experience with it coming to a show and walking away, like everything about that was like blowing me away, like just so exciting. So
Yo, I'm happy to hear that actually, man.
yeah,
So was he one of the guys that I met there?
I think so. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. He's a big guy. I was like, you should have been a wrestler. But he loved it.
Nice.
He was like, he was actually like blown away by you. He had some videos of you showing his wife after, and he was like, I think I was bigger than that guy, but he would have fucked me up. Like he's like, he's a jack guy. Yeah. And he knew what he was doing. Yeah. So it was fun.
Man. Yeah, no, I'm glad that he enjoyed it. I'm glad that and get me that footage, man. I want to see it too.
Yeah, I'll find it for you.
You could definitely tell from that show. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get tickets because I had plans, and then plans changed. So it definitely became a hot ticket. And I think that I guess we're kind of just transitioning to Dungeon really quick here. I think that says a lot about a show that, that's the first show that they've really put on, right? And it sells out. All respect to some of the other local shows that we've had here and whatnot. And then, even someone like Natalia, who doesn't really retweet anything local. We know that she's not allowed to even retweet stuff for Sea of the Dead because of WWE doesn't like people talking about other brands. So she never talks about Sea of the Dead. Raj talks about Sea of the Dead a lot. But I thought that was the really cool thing about that show is you could just tell, like not being there, you could see the buzz. And then even having Wrestling Classic talk about it, I think was a big addition as well.
Yeah, it was it generated a buzz right away. And it's cool, like you said, no disrespect to any of the other wrestling promotions, but they're going for a different demographic and a different style of fan where they want the hardcore fan, but they want to educate the new fan while still having fun. Does that make sense? I don't know. It might not make sense, but it will. If you catch, if you come to a show, you're gonna turn around and be like, it's a vibe too. Like even when the match isn't going on, there's a vibe and there's like a buzz. It's kind of corny and cliche to say, but there was a legit energy about the venue and the show and the lighting and the way it was presented, where it was like a show. It's not like you came to watch matches, you came to be a part of a show. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. It definitely felt like that. And even like having Brett there, I think was a big check mark, right? And a big endorsement for you guys to be like, hey, we have one of the greatest performers of all time at this event. And, you even had like FTR retweeting stuff of him at that event. I mean, it helped he had an FTR shirt on and they're dying for him to be their manager right now. But I think having Brett there was a huge compliment to the night for you guys.
Yeah, no, it was great. And the cool part was that a lot of people didn't even know he was going to be there. So that's just a feather in the cap, right? So Blade in Dallas, they're doing it the right way. Not saying that no other promoters didn't do it the right way or aren't currently doing it the right way, but for these guys to have such success on their first show, the next one being May 21st, it's gonna create a buzz and tickets will go fast, because I had people like calling me trying to get free tickets, or not free tickets, trying to get their hands on tickets to see if I can even just pull them aside and hold them.
I was one of them.
Yeah, there was literally nothing we could do. Like my dad couldn't even come to the show because we were over capacity. Man. So my dad was kind of bummed because I told him not to wait. And I told him you got to be here by 7, and he didn't show up in time. So like, oh man,
yeah, it was a dope venue. Like you said, crowd was really into it. It was like a smart mark crowd, right? Mostly, because it was like people that were into it, which is very different from something like RCW, I guess. I was at, I think it was your first match back at RCW.
Okay, yeah.
Last summer. And that was a packed night. I think it was one of the first we're reopening events too, and it was packed there. But the crowd was different at this dungeon show. I think, like more invested.
That's exactly the word, man.
Yeah.
That's exactly the word. Yeah.
Invested, but also wanting to have fun. Like the beer was flowing. I mean, we're at a brewery.
Yeah, exactly.
So the beer was flowing. Excitement was there. So it just was, and like having I can't remember who the artist was who did all that artwork at the back,
right?
Of like Owen and the hearts.
Yeah, I'm not sure that
was really cool. Yeah, super cool. And then the ring, everything brand new. Like they just built that up. Everything about it was top notch, like you were saying, for sure.
Yeah, man. I hope the Dungeon Boys hear you saying this, man. They're gonna love it.
Yeah, I mean, Blade is kind of in our sneaker community, so we're kind of like boys with him. But without that, we would have come to this anyways.
Mhm.
I think because we're just big fans of wrestling, indie wrestling, local wrestling too. So it was a sick
And
show.
Calgary
And seeing
needs
you,
that, right? I mean,
yeah,
you saw Sea of the Dead have that Stampede Wrestling shirt, and I think that generated
Speaking
a
of that,
buzz
yeah, I'm
in a lot of
rocking it
people.
right
There you
now.
oh,
go.
he's got it on.
There you go.
I'm
Yeah.
wearing, bro.
Which I told them they need to get a
Awesome.
hat going, man. We need the hat. We
Yeah,
need a
that's
hat.
a good idea.
But I think a lot of people have those memories, and this is such a bursting community of wrestling, and now we're not gonna get shows because where the dome is, and WWE's not going to come here. I don't know if AEW or Impact or anyone else touring is going to come here. They'll probably maybe go to Edmonton or a local town, and so to have some of these local shows started hitting, I think that's great. And to see what Dungeon did, you could really see the wrestling heart that is in this city. We have, Cody has in his thing, in his music, there's more than one royal family. He's like, well, we may have the royalist family for wrestling in the heart of the city, no pun intended. So it was good to kind of see that bust, and not just his family, but not the Hart family, but your family also, Raj, right? We talked about, your father's a former performer, and yourself and Jinder, like we are bursting with wrestling families and blood and history in this city.
Yeah, no, it's you're dead on with that. And it's just, I want it to, like I said, I love wrestling so much, and it just, it kills me when, some of our buddies from like WWE or ex-WWE guys or ex-Impact guys or current Impact guys, they come here and they're like, this is a legendary Calgary wrestling scene. Like it's, it's, we want that elevated, we want that buzz. And I think it's going to come back. I think it's going to come back to just how you're saying, where people will be invested and constantly invested and not really looking for storylines and drama, but they're going to come and still get a good show while they still have that. But they're just going to care to, as we said, be invested and have that, be around that vibe. Being around that vibe is going to be the key.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you saw with the show, not even just from Dungeon, but the show that we had at the Hitman game a little bit ago, I think that brought up a buzz. And, then having this Dungeon show. So you're seeing a lot of these buzz up. You're seeing guys on the radio like Jesse Mons at some of these shows as well, and getting the word out. I'm notoriously at least once a game doing stuff for the Dinos or Trojans, at least getting one wrestling reference in every game that I can, if I can.
So,
The worst, Raj, inside story really quick here. I don't think I told Adam this. There was a guy on the U of A Golden Bears. His name was Adam Page. And I was losing my mind. And then twice, not even thinking, I said Hangman Adam Page, not even thinking about it. And my producer was like, who's Hangman Adam Page? I'm like, sorry, Wrestling Phantom just snuck in there.
You can't say Hangman. What are you saying?
Yeah. I was like, oh, and he was like one of the best players for the Bears as well. But, I think like I was trying to say, it's in it. And I, much like you do, and I know Adam does, I love this as well. And to kind of connect to it and to see it grow, you want it so badly.
Yeah, it's like I said, man, it's got the good headway there with Blade Dallas and Kid Chocolate there helping out. So it's going in the right direction.
Just been like we've talked about, there's so much history in Calgary, but it's kind of been a lull, it feels like, for the last, like, I want to say 15, 20 years
100%.
for like local stuff. And so I do hope it comes back, because like in the 90s, 2000s, you could go places and be like, oh, I'm from Calgary, and people would know what that is, especially in wrestling circles. I remember my first WrestleMania I went to, like I go to places in the States all the time. It's like, I'm from Calgary. It's like, what's that? Right? Like nobody says anything, but you go to WrestleMania, it's like, I'm from Calgary, and they're like, I know exactly where that is. Like they all know that. But then, like you said, they come there. If they came there now, it would be like, what is this? Like, this isn't the wrestling mecca I thought it was.
Yeah, exactly, man. But like, I'm confident that it's going to go back up. I'm confident in it.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing it. You're helping. You're helping put on the map.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to put on the map again.
So, kind of get back into pace with your career, Raj. You were trained by Bad News. What was that experience like?
it's funny. I was just talking about that at the gym with one of my buddies.
Yeah.
It was awesome, man. Like I miss him all the time, because I mean, I had like a friendship relationship with him outside of the training. Also because he was such good friends with my dad and Jerry, and dude, I loved training. I loved it. You know, like after a night of partying, I probably hate it because I was like hurting really bad.
Yeah.
But I loved being there because Bad News was such a cool energy to be around. And it was just, you know, I didn't really want to go and take the bumps and do the flips and do the kicks and just all the small wrestling stuff. I wanted to hear him break it down after. He was very strict. He was very strict. Where it was a different time. But just say, for example, I messed something up. I'd get a kendo stick in the back, lower back.
Oh,
but not like he's not gonna come up and just hack
Yeah,
me like, you know, Ron Hextall in the back of the legs or something.
yeah.
He's gonna come and like, you know, give me that love tap and be like, yo, you know better. Or he'll be like, hey man, you know, the hit was probably because he knew I was partying the night before and I didn't come into training 100%.
Yeah.
So
Need that push.
yeah, 100%. And he did that with well, Raj, Big Raj. They called me Junior or Small Raj, and Jinder was Big Raj. So with Big Raj and we would always get that, but the other students never did. And they always kind of figured, yo, why isn't that happening to us? But it was more so that like Bad News knew us throughout all the years, from being kids. And then he also really had high expectations for the two of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, that training was the best, man. Like, and if I ever, like, when I get to train people, I try to like bring out my inner Bad News Allen so I can be strict on these kids.
Definitely an underutilized. The fact he only has one mania, I think, is pretty criminal.
Sorry?
Like just definitely an underused talent in his career. He only has that one mania, right?
But that's because he also was very opinionated, and he told Vince a few things, and Vince didn't like it, and Vince just, you know, can't physically do anything to him, so get him in the ring, which was cool. I mean, Bad News knew what it was. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. So what was the first bump? What was the feeling of the first bump?
You know what? That's kind of like a question. I know it's a cop out, but I can't really answer that because I was taking bumps as a kid. So when I came in to actually officially start training with Bad News, I was playing hockey, and when I officially started training with them, it like bumping was peanuts. It was so easy.
Right.
Like I was literally doing flip bumps and jumping off the top rope, taking a bump, second rope, taking a bump within a day. And it's like, you know, normally you don't teach people that for a couple of weeks or maybe a week at least. But it's just like I'm like, every time I would go to a show from as young as I can remember, I was dying for the show to be done. So that me and my brother and a couple of our friends or whoever it was would hop in the ring and then have our own little promotion for the 20 minutes before we got kicked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what
awesome.
has become for a wrestling family
promotion.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fantasy promotion, you know, walk in, have our own fake made up names, you know, whatever. And it was always had to be a battle royal because we had the ropes, but at home we had to use a sofa. So when we had the show, the pavilion, then we would go, and that's where our battle royal was gonna be.
Sick.
What was the first match like?
It was, you know, it was cool. It was cool. I relive it a lot. It's kind of weird to say, but like I said, I love this sport and this industry, let's call it. So I relive it a lot because I always kind of like use it as a barometer for what I'm doing today. And yeah, like, you know, it's your first match. People go, oh, your first matches suck. Mine didn't. Mine was cool. I had it like plotted out what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. And like I said, I was just, all I cared about was realism or people being like, you know, I want to see you again. And my coaches were there, Bad News Allen and Jerry Morrow. And my dad wasn't like an in-ring coach. He was more like fine tuning outside, you know, or fine tuning at the dinner table. We'll talk about some stuff, or if we're watching stuff. or he'll ask me how I do something, blah, 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 blah. Then he'll just tell me how he would do it or what he thinks I should do, or if I'm doing it outright wrong. But Bad News and Rick Bogner, the fake Razor, they were sitting at the ringside doing commentary. But it was like the commentary where we could hear them while we were still wrestling. You know, it was a commentary for the live crowd.
Yeah.
It was actually at the Palace nightclub is where it was.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
And I remember the match. I remember the feeling. I remember like we did a spot where I'm holding my opponent. Jinder comes in for the big boot. The opponent moves. He hits me. I remember everything about that match 100% because I've relived it so many times. And I just remember how happy Jerry and Bad News were with the match. Like, I just remember how happy they were with it. So I was like, okay, I didn't screw it up, because they were tough critics. They're not going to come and just say you did a good job because they wanted to, you know, I used to leave training crying sometimes, bro. I used to leave training crying sometimes because I had such high expectations for myself. So if I was supposed to do a drop kick and let's say I was supposed to hit it at 7 feet high, but I could only get to 6'5" that day, I was so hard on myself. I'd be crying on the drive home, you know, just because I'm like, okay, then the next day I'd get there, it had to be 7 feet. Like, I wasn't leaving until, and then because they also pushed me, you know, hey, Raj, you only did 480 squats today. Where were the other 20? All right, cool. Let's go. Let's push it. So that when I saw them happy with that first match, I was like, all right, cool. It was like something I'll never forget, and something that I use, like I said, like every time I have a match, I want to have that feeling like, okay, cool. Jerry and Bad News and my dad would be happy with it.
Pretty good goal to have. Adam?
Yeah, I think that's super cool that you sort of relive that and carry that through your career, I guess. So what was, I guess, what was like then kind of branching out? You did a bunch of other indie circuits, but then coming to Impact, I guess. What was that like? What was that sort of like first launch, first day at Impact like?
Oh man. So doing all those indies throughout the years, it was cool, but at the same time, I just started to like float. You know, I had a lot of potential, a lot of love from all the promoters and all the people I used to work with, and then it became this like plateau. I was like, okay, there's a guy that wrestles cool, wrestles good. He's a cool guy in the locker room, blah 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 blah, and then it just started to go downhill. And I was very like, there was a point where I was gonna quit, dude, because I had gotten a couple tryouts and it didn't work out.
You like hit a ceiling or something.
Yeah, man. And then even then, like I got a tryout, and I was in good shape. I wasn't like in amazing shape. Like, I had a good body for the time, but it wasn't great. And they still told me I was like too small and not lean enough or not good enough. And I had like a hockey player's body, if that makes sense. And then next thing you know, I was like going down. I was like, oh man, I got to figure something out. And then WWE had called. I got a tryout with them. And then they told me to not do the Indian thing, because like we already have like an Indian guy. Can you do something else? So I went home, went to the drawing board, and I came up with that other character, the Stamina Papi, like a Casanova. If you only let you show, if you only let him show you, right? Like that. That's kind of what it was. And just pure comedy, and totally change the look, like no beard, no hair, dancing instead of serious, and all funny stuff. So then I was doing that, and then I got a tryout with that character. But then when I got there, WWE told me, don't do that character anymore. We want to see the Indian bit. So can you go with that? Wow. So I was like, you're kidding me. And then they asked me what languages I speak, and I told them I speak Punjabi and Spanish. And they're like, forget the Spanish whatsoever. They're like, do you speak Hindi? I'm like, no, I don't speak Hindi. I'm like, I speak Punjabi, but like a little bit Hindi words, you know, back and forth, you can communicate. So then we went back and forth, and my dad had signed with Impact, actually, because Impact had tried to sign me. And then I told them that I was working with WWE, that I was going to be, because WWE told me like, yeah, we want to hire you and we're going to work with you here. So then I was like, sweet, man, like I'm happy I didn't quit. Let's go start getting back in shape. Let's start working out here and getting things rolling. And so when Impact signed my dad would be like, yo, did WWE not? I'm like, yo, they told me, okay, this month and then next month and then next month. And it became that. And then Impact was like, yo, you haven't signed anything? I'm like, no. They're like, well, if you haven't, you can join us. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, you know what? Give me like, I think at the time, I think probably said like 10 days or something, because it was like a Wednesday or Thursday evening. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'll call them on the Monday kind of thing. And then give them like a week. So then I called them, spoke to the people I needed to speak to. And we legit went back and forth, like Monday, Tuesday, they call me back. Tuesday, I'm like, okay, let me call you back. Boom, call Impact, then get the Impact, back and forth. Boom, 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 boom. Then Impact is like, okay, come in. Because they were going immediately right now, next to the tapings. Take it or leave it. We're not going to play this back and forth game no more. And I said, okay, cool. I show up. I've got not like a bullseye on my back, but I've got all the eyes on me. Every writer, every performer. This also happened at the Impact, at the WWE tryout. When I was there was 30 of us, 30 men and 12 women, so 42 of us. I had the coach that calls out the matches. You A and B, B, C and D, blah, 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 so on and so forth. He says in front of everybody, I don't care who's good guy, who's bad guy, except for I wrestled Jorah at the tryout, the AEW guy, Jorah. And they're like, the match between Jorah and Raj, they didn't call me Raj. They said between Jorah and young Gama. Gama has to be the heel. Gama, you have to go over. Everybody just turns and looks at me. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I had this, again, like a bullseye on me. And I'm like, oh, shit. So then when I get to Impact, it's like that too. And everybody's watching. Everybody's looking, because they had already met my dad a few times. They love the guy for how he is behind the scenes in the locker room. And, you get a guy that's like in his 60s come out looking young still looking good and doing all his stuff. And I'm his son, so I got extra pressure now. Cool. I come in as a guy that WWE was going to pick up. Cool. I go out there and I literally dislocate my shoulder in the first 15 seconds.
Damn it.
Start telling everybody, man, Shockmaster Singh, brother. So I popped my shoulder back in on the spot. Like, if you ever watch it on YouTube, it's like Rohit Raju versus Gama Singh in a match. And then I come out because it's a test for the storyline. And I go to give a gut buster, but I was wearing my my kurta jacket, like my East Indian traditional jacket. So when the guy pushes off my shoulder strength going up, the jacket pulled down and my shoulder pops right out. And you can see that I can't move my right arm. So then I had to lie to the doctor, lie to the staff, didn't tell anybody. And the guy that was responsible for me getting signed, he knew, but he's like, don't tell nobody because we cannot pull you from the show. So I don't tell nobody. Yeah, wrap it up. I couldn't sleep all night. I go have a match. I can't lift the guy over my head. I can't move. I can't throw a punch with my right arm. So I had to pretend that I was just using my legs and stomping and stuff like that. So I have like a mediocre tag team match. So people now that are watching me, they think I suck. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know if you guys know what that feeling is like. It's like maybe getting a call up to like a top tier team and then being the reason they lose. That's what it felt like. What it felt like everybody liked me. Everybody was cool. They embraced me with open arms, but performance wise, I did not do good. Slowly, everything starts going good. Bang, bang, bang. It's going up. It's going up. Okay, Raj, it's cool. And then I tear my knee and have to get surgery, so I'm out. So in short, I gave you everything that happened, but to answer your question, when I got there, man, there was so much pressure and I just Shockmaster Singh that.
Yeah, it's that bloodline, right? Like there's that, like you said, that extra pressure of your family lineage, that extra pressure of coming from another company, like maybe a bigger company that was like set to sign you or whatever. Like not a bullseye, but it's like everybody's kind of like, who is this guy, but kind of like,
let's
who is this guy? Who does this guy think he is? I guess that's what it is.
And I come dressed up. Like when I come to these shows, I come like dressed up in like a suit or dress shirt, whatever, look nice. So it just elevates me that way. But then when they, trust me, bro, that feeling, I'll never have that again, because that won't happen again, because I'll come in extra prepared now. Like after I came back from the knee surgery, I came back knowing I had another bolt, because they told me too. They're like, we're bringing you back. You basically got 6 weeks to show us what you got. They pretty much told me like, don't mess up again.
Oh damn.
Yeah,
And
which is cool. Which is fine by me, because I was extra.
Yeah, that's pressure.
This is Scott DeBoer in charge of Impact at this point, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he's in charge, but they have a handful of different guys that are saying things.
Right.
Like, I get a phone call from this person or this person, and it's delegated. So yeah, but Scott DeBoer is the head honcho right now.
Right. So what's now that you're back there, what has the locker room been like?
It's great. It's great. The vibe is so cool. And I get along with everybody there. So that's cool. Makes my life easy, because, there's some people that don't get along with everybody. Not that I've seen it, but, on my first go around, I didn't talk to everybody, not because we had heat or whatnot, but now it's cool. And the vibe, it's like everybody wants everybody to succeed, if that makes sense. Like one of my homegirls just got signed, but she was like pretty much used as an extra for 4 months. And now she got signed. First thing I did when I saw the news, I just picked up the phone and called her in the morning, right? I was like, yo, finally, like we were talking about this and it's cool. We wanted to see her succeed. Locker room wise, everybody watches the matches. They give each other the feedback. They give each other the fist bump, or if something didn't turn out as planned, they know to just leave that person alone. It's like the leaving the older sibling alone, and just let them like don't try to give advice, just give the pat on the shoulder and just walk away. And it's like that.
So obviously this past 2 years, WWE has been hard on cutting people, and you've had some of those talents coming to the company. Jonah, you've had a match with recently, and the Iconics, now the Influence came in. What has it been like having them into the locker room?
It's super cool, man. Like, I mean, to be honest, we don't see it like, oh, hey, that's an ex-WWE guy. It's not like that, like, at least not for me anyways. I'm like, I look up, go say what's up, introduce myself. I'm, hey, man, this dude's cool. Or, hey, these girls are sweet, man. Like, it's cool to chop it up with them and chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, having them in there, the great thing is that the eyes are on us, and it's elevating our product.
Yep. Because
like, I don't know if anybody watches Impact, because it usually gets lost in the shuffle, but it is a good show. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on it. I'm on it for like 3 minutes. Watch the other 2 hours. It's a good show.
I think
that's kind of back to what you were talking about before, where it's like you just want to elevate that show, right? You want to elevate everyone on the roster. And then when you see people that are like bigger, let's say coming from a bigger promotion, coming to you, are you thinking that's going to elevate everyone here? Everyone's trying to like, I don't know, like step up a little bit, but like shine, because like you said, the eyes are on you. Is everybody trying to like step it up, at least for the first little while? Like we have this like chance to maybe hit on different things, right?
100%, man, 100%. Like when I worked with Cardona, I was like, he's gonna want to be with somebody that's a good wrestler, because if not, he won't want to wrestle me anymore. So you got to go. And then I just had a spot with Big Cass or Morrissey. He puts me through a table. I had a bucket load of eyes on me for that one, because he's so popular. So you made mention of it earlier. It's like every opportunity I get, I'm making the most of it, and that just puts more eyes on us. So that's good. And I mean, that's going on throughout the locker room. That's going on throughout the company. So that's Impact's on the come up.
Yeah, I think, right now, I think everyone kind of knows who the two major brands are in North America, right? With WWE and AEW, but it's kind of who's that third brand? I think Impact getting the Multiverse of Matches card on the Friday. I know I bought that, and I was like, oh, I'm interested in that show. And it was a really cool Impact show. It's disappointing Raj wasn't on it. But I think it's a side of, kind of fighting for that third spot, right? Is, Impact, I think, gets a lot of stuff one week. GCW gets highlights one week. MLW is kind of trickling on there. New Japan Strong's kind of doing their thing for that kind of third North American brand. It does seem like you guys are kind of placed there, and then kind of in this bid at times between AEW and WWE of like having Mickey at the Rumble or having Kenny come up or Christian come up. So that's got to be really cool for you guys.
Yeah, it is cool. And honestly, the only reason we would be fighting for a number 3 is because of the budget they spend and the monopoly they have on channels. Because if we were on those same channels, there would be a lot of fans that would watch this Teddy Hart said this in a famous promo before. You got Wendy's on one side of the street, McDonald's on the other. They're both selling the same thing, but it just tastes a little different. So you're going to have somebody going to here and somebody going to there, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it is. The only problem and the reason we get that feeling of like the bidding for the third promotion is just the exposure in the sense of the channels. But like AEW, like TNT or USA Network or wherever WWE is playing now, they have those exclusive rights, and any of their sister stations have, like, you can't put a show on a sister station, and you'd be surprised how many sister stations are owned by one big ass channel.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's like,
WWE has what? NBC Universal, then they have Fox, and then they have deals with Disney, right? So there's already, you can't do anything with ABC. You can't do anything with any of the Disneys or ESPNs, right? You can't do anything with NBC or USA, and then all the Fox channels and affiliates. And then you have the whole Turner side, which is all the Viacom down in the States, right? So it takes up a big chunk for you guys.
Of course. And in Canada, you can't use Sports Center or The Score or TSN. They're all used. They're all, or sorry, not Sports Center, Sportsnet. Those 3 are all used already. So in Canada, you literally have Fight Network, which we're on, or CBC, who doesn't want to put pro wrestling unless it's on at like 11:30 p.m. on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'll have to get Andrew Fun to fight for that. He's had a little bit and Run the Burbs. So maybe I'll talk to the higher ups at CBC.
Yeah, he's the in at CBC. We'll get some professional wrestling on CBC.
Yeah, maybe he can be at a live wrestling event on his show, right? So.
Yeah, I'm sure I love that. So yeah, what is this like? I think this past year for you, like you said, you've had the match with Jonah, you had that match with Cardona, and it seems like you're getting your spots there. The most interesting thing for me, for you as a performer, though, is that Cardona match. A little bit before that is what was it like performing during the pandemic?
So the end of the pandemic was right when I came back, so I never had to deal with it for the whole the whole time. But when I was there, it was interesting. But as a performer and somebody who loves it, like just being in that ring, I legit forget about any. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world to say, but like while I'm in that ring, all is forgotten except for what's happening in that ring. Any event in the world that's catastrophic, it means nothing to me while I'm in there for that X amount of time. So while we're there, we had the X amount of the 2 rows of fans or whatever they were allowed to have. And I was like, the world is frozen right now just so that we can perform for these people. And then I would perform the same in front of those 2 rows of fans as I would in front of like 20,000. So either way, it was the same. But I do know there were some people that just absolutely hated it. They're like, man, we need fans back.
Well, because probably some of them are coming from bigger promotions and are so used to feeding off big crowds, I guess, right? And aren't used to having some of those, because some of them are coming from an NXT even, right? Where they still have that big crowd, and some of them aren't coming in the come up like you did or some of the other performers did, right? Where you've been in some of those smaller venues, so you're used to it.
100%, right? And just like, I get it. I do get why some people want to have those fans there and that buzz and the energy, because we were just talking about it for the Vengeance show. But it's like, I'm blessed to be in this position. Not everybody's in this position. Impact only has so many people on a roster, and I'm one of them. Yeah. So if I want to sit here, complain, have a boo-boo face, then I'm out of here, and then Joe Blow is in on my spot, and then I can continue not wrestling for a company on TV and doing what I love.
Yeah. Who's your bucket list right now? Performer as the face.
Bucket list performers to face. I want to wrestle Josh Alexander in Impact in a proper match, not like
two Canadians.
Yeah, not like a 2-minute match on TV. I want to have like a proper, let's put on a show kind of match. The Good Brothers I'd love to wrestle because I like chopping it up with those guys. Mike Bailey, Trey Miguel. I mean, I've wrestled Trey Miguel, but now that he's got the champ, he's hit a different level.
Mike Bailey, who had a great Mania week.
Mm-hmm. I know I was mad jealous, dude, because I didn't get to wrestle anywhere for anybody. And this guy's wrestling like 6 matches in one night. I wanted to kill him.
Everywhere.
Yeah. I was like, yo, I was player hating on him.
Yeah.
So my bucket list all contains Impact people. It's kind of, again, corny and cliche to say, but at the same time, this is where I am. This is what I'm focusing on.
For sure.
And honestly, I want to wrestle everybody at least once. Like Moose, I want to have a proper match. Jonah, I want to have a proper match. Chris Sabin for sure. Chris Bay. So I literally can pull out any name on there that I haven't wrestled.
I want to see you and Jay White. Let's get it.
That'd be cool, man. That'd be cool. But maybe one day, never count it out, bro. Yeah. Could happen in Calgary too.
Yeah. Ooh, that'd be nice.
A little teaser? Is that a teaser?
No. Maybe we'll see what's up.
But yeah, you're still coming back and wrestling a little bit back home. Is that something you think that's going to continue going forward a little bit?
For the time being, I know I'm not always available. For the dungeon shows, I've made myself available as long as I don't have Impact tapings. So all other promotions or bookers that try to schedule me for shows, they know that. Because for those that don't know, Kid Chocolate and I, we're real close. And then have mad respect for Blade and Dallas. So they're really good to me. So while Dungeon has shows, I'll be here for those ones for sure. And other local shows, it's tough because if they try to book me, and they no joke, the last 3-4 times they tried to book me, it was during Impact shows. So I give them dates. And then so I'll do a couple, but my summer is going to start being really busy, which is a good problem to have.
Absolutely. We've talked about how important family is and how much family runs in your route in your system. What was the experience of watching Jinder win the championship like?
I'm a very passionate guy. I'm a very passionate and proud dude. So I had like tears of joy. Wow. Legit, like eyes watering because I was so happy. I was there the day he got signed. He was the only one that got a contract in the room, and I was happy and so happy. Called home right away because like him getting signed did feel like I was getting signed too, And same thing when he won the title. Same thing when he won the title. Like I was so happy for him. And I just was kicking myself that I didn't fly to Chicago because I knew he was going to win the title just watching the vibe and how it was all going. Like he never spoiled anything for me, but I was just like, damn, I should have been there that day. But I had actually, I was working at the time. I was working a day job at the time, and I didn't stupidly because I'm obviously not there anymore. So I should have just been like, yo, I quit and go. but seeing that happen, man, I was so happy for him, and equally as happy when he won the U.S. championship at Mania.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people forget he had that because he had it for less than 24 hours, but it was great. It's the same thing.
Well, and as we're recording, I guess we should say this is going to come out after, but on SmackDown, he's wrestling Sammy, could be Intercontinental Champion by the time this podcast comes out. We don't know yet.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I'll have to watch to find out, man. I'll have to watch.
But I remember there was a SmackDown show. It was in Calgary, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was when Mark slammed Sheamus in the steps, and your whole family was in front of me. And it was just so cool for me to just see, like, and when Jinder came out and everyone, it was just like, that is so cool. Just the pride that they have for Jinder and just like all the pictures that everybody was taking. Like, that's really, really cool to see that.
Yeah, that was a dope one. I was actually sitting in the locker room for that one, and I know exactly where they were sitting too. But yeah, no, it was cool because there was a bunch of them that all came out, which was great. I just kind of wish they would do that for the local shows here when I'm on.
No kidding.
Yeah, you got to get him out for those. Yeah, you got to get him up for those for sure. Yeah.
So, you know, as I was saying too, like wrestling's really growing. And I think the cool thing is Impact's letting you kind of do these other shows, but how are you kind of now like looking to kind of start building on more going forward?
Honestly, man, it's not as easy as everybody thinks. It's not like, hey, you're on TV and then all of a sudden you've just got 10,000 followers or 10 million followers. It doesn't work like that. You still got to go do your part, and you got to elevate and make the most of every opportunity. I keep referring back to the Shockmaster Singh days. When I did that, it was like, okay, people think I suck, so they don't really follow me. I got a quick buzz, a lot of buzz from people from India, and then it died down when I started, like, you know, not being in matches. And now with the segments I'm having, I'm getting a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So it's just how we keep referring to, keep getting better each show. Make sure that this show was better than the last, but not as good as the next one will be. And then I keep doing that, keep creating the buzz. And then hopefully it's just going to translate into 52 weeks of double bookings all the time until I retire.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam?
When's that retirement coming?
I mean,
not putting a date on that yet.
I'm not going to put a date on it, but, you know, like, realistically, let's say 5-6 good years of wrestling, not this like wrestling once every 2 months, that kind of stuff. Like if I went 5-6 years of wrestling every weekend, I'd be able to withstand that easily. But if I go if it is the way it is now, I could wrestle for another 20 years, bro.
So wrestling's in your blood, but like looking even more forward, I don't know if you want to do this, but if you want to even look this far in the future, but like the business, you're in the business, you were born into the business, is like producing or like promoting or training in your future, would you say?
For sure training. For sure training. We'll see where wrestling goes in the next 5 years, because I was thinking of talking about this. Like if somebody wants to learn the art of wrestling and like moves and holds and grappling and like the realism, then they'll come to me. But if they want to learn like, you know, flippity flip, Cirque du Soleil style, you know, figure skating in a ring type wrestling, you're not going to learn that from me. So we'll see where it's at. I've always wanted to work with, like, you know, I guess we'll say troubled youth or youth that are looking for some sort of guidance or help. So that's kind of where what I went to school for. And I always had it in my mind that I'm going to wrestle for X amount of years, use it as a commercial, so that when I start a school / like a drop-in type center, then it'll help motivate people to come and see me. Because if I just go and start a school today, some people may go, who the hell is this guy? But then if it's like so-and-so on TV, then they can say, hey, you know, so-and-so from TV, he's helping people. Then you're going to get more people helped that way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And is that going to be in Calgary? Would you want to stay in Calgary and do that here?
Would I want to? So my parents live in Calgary, so that's like the main thing that keeps me. And then we have some properties, and I own a hockey league, so I manage that. So that's what's in Calgary. But ultimately, I want to live in Puerto Rico. So
okay,
if it's my choice, I'll do the summer school wrestling part in Calgary, and then all the winters will be in Puerto Rico.
That's a pretty nice snowbird life.
Yeah, that's what
Carlos Colon then.
100%. Man, I already told him, hey, whenever I come there, I need to get booked. He said, I'm ready.
What's been your favorite match to date so far, Raj?
Oh man, it's tough. It's tough to answer, because there's different things about different matches that I like. But my favorite match ever, oh man, it was in, I think, 2016, 2016, 2017 for sure. It was a blindfold match with Kenneth Anthony, and I was wrestling as the Stamina Poppy.
Nice.
7 minutes, pure comedy. Brandy Rhodes was our referee. Pure comedy for 7 minutes, and like I had to contain the laughter. It was so funny. That was my favorite match.
Nice. It's so funny now with that Stand-Up Poppy character because it would fit so well into the 24 division. You could see it with Truth and all of them. Like it would fit so well.
I pitched it, man. I pitched it, but they want me to be a serious guy. But I hope that Poppy gets his chance on TV somewhere because it's just pure comedy. And that's so much better. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
I was saying it's just so much better for my body.
Yeah. I was gonna say they want you to be the Indian guy, but not the Indian guy.
Exactly. It is, man.
Yeah. All right. I guess, and then just my final question is just like, what's the future looking like? I guess you've kind of talked about it, but just like, what's your idea of like at least the next year, like what the rest of 2022 is looking like for you?
The next of 2022, like, you know, I'm reaching a part of my career where I'm pushing and I'm getting, you know, it's I can say it honestly, as humbly as I can, that I'm getting better each and every show, whether it be a local show, whether it be on TV. Every single show is getting better. I'm getting, you know, I'm working my ass off in the gym. I'm working my ass off at home. And then what it holds, I can't say for sure. Definitely more opportunity, but I can say for sure that it'll be the best wrestling year in the sense of like matches I get and big name matches and opportunity in that way, and TV time for sure. Because I'm getting the mic now finally on Impact. I'm dying for that. I've been begging for it. So I got that, and then we'll see, because I do have some term left, and like while I'm with Impact, like they know that I want to be here. You know, what doesn't matter who else has knocked on my door. They know I want to be an Impact because I'm loyalty number one guy, and they were the first company that gave me that shot, said, "Come here right now, let's go."
Yeah.
So I'm loyalty number one. I will stay with them as long as they say, and then if they turn around and say, find out how much money you can get somewhere else, we'll match it or let you go, then I'll do it that way. So for the immediate future, I'll be an Impact, and just I'll keep making the most of all the opportunities of getting, and just slowly climbing up. Like I don't need that rocket speed trajectory to a title or anything. I just need that opportunity to get there.
Yeah.
This show is better than the last show.
100%.
Every show's better than the last show.
And I want all the workers or the talent that I work with, I want them to turn around and say, I want to have, you know, it was great to work with him.
Absolutely. What I guess my last kind of question is, what's it like, you know, kind of getting on the mic and feeding off the audience?
It's the best, bro. It's the best. It's that's the easy, for me, that's the easy part. I don't know, there's other people that dread it and they hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, that's the easy part, because that's where people are gonna know, you know, like I can do a 450 off the top ropes, and people be for 10 seconds, who cares? But then, because my body's hurting after, but I can go on the mic, spit a couple of good lines, dress nice, look into the camera, show my character, show them what's in my soul, and then they're gonna be like, oh shit, this guy's funny, or hey, this guy's a jerk, or hey, whatever it is, you know. So for me, that's the easy part, and I'm just like, give me more, bro.
Well, I mean, who's the hottest character in wrestling arguably right now? It's MJF, right? And that's done more on the mic than it is in the ring. I think that's where
100%.
That's where you grow your personality, is on the mic.
Yep, 100%. The mic and the vignettes. The vignettes are super fun to do. Those are sick. So those ones I like too, because it's like acting, right?
Yeah.
Adam, I got one more question.
Sure.
I got one more question. Just about Calgary.
Okay.
So you're a Calgary guy.
100%.
What is something nostalgic from like your childhood that you remember? Something from like a Calgary local thing that you remember?
Dude, there's like how much time you got, buddy? Man, nostalgic for me. Again, it sounds so corny, or and I hate almost sounding corny, but like going to the pavilion, bro. I remember that. I remember it as a kid, and when I go there now, it takes me back there. And for your listeners, they might turn around and be, yo, this guy's boring. His whole life is just wrestling and wrestling. But it is. I go to the Saddle Dome. Every time I go to the Saddle Dome, I used to have season tickets to the Flames the year we had Yager. And every game I went, I would look at the pavilion and just remember, like I was there, and I remember what it was like. But what else do I remember? I remember, like, we lived in Castle Ridge. So like growing up, it was a little bit of a rougher area. I remember things like that. I remember seeing the influx of like the Indian immigration. I remember going to like, Peter's Drive-In with my cousins from out of town. My cousins from out of town would come. So where can we go that we don't have at home? We take them to Peter's.
Yeah.
Callaway Park for me was one place I spent a lot of time as a kid, besides the Stampede. And then like when I was older, just like, you name the nightclub, bro, I was there.
Nice. Well, Raj, it's
awesome
a privilege to hear. It's been a privilege to have you on the show. We wish you the best, everything going forward with your career. You got 2 big fans here for you, and obviously a lot of people in the city rooting for you going forward. And it's awesome to see you getting extra time on TV, and all the best going forward in the future, man.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for putting me on this platform. Like,
always, man.
You guys are thanking me, but I need to thank you guys, because at the end of the day, like, it's just, you guys are helping me so much with this kind of stuff. And I just love conversing with people that are actually interested, and, like, show support, because you've got a supporter here now for the rest of your life too.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
We'll
Cheers.
be at your dungeon shows.
Thank you, man.
Yes.